The surprising thing about understanding a dog's happiness is that it doesn't require any special training at all. It's more about noticing the gentle patterns that most people overlook. These moments are soft, simple, and easy to miss in the rush of daily life. But when you begin to recognize them, your bond shifts into something quieter and more meaningful. In this video, I'll share the small signs that help you see your dog's joy with new clarity. And if you'd like more insights like this, I'd love for you to join me by liking the video and subscribing. Number 1. Play behavior that shows creative joy. You might not expect it, but a dog's happiest moments often show up in the strange, improvised games they invent just for you. When your dog feels safe enough to let their imagination spill out, their play becomes less about burning energy and more about sharing a little window into their mind. You'll see it in the way they mix different moves together, almost as if they're crafting a new language only the two of you speak. And sometimes, all it takes is the way they bounce toward you out of nowhere. Like joy has quietly become their default setting. These playful bursts reveal a kind of inner light that doesn't need permission to shine. And once you notice that pattern, you start seeing another one. Number 2. Subtle touches that reflect emotional fulfillment. It's easy to miss, but those tiny moments when your dog brushes against you in passing often say more than the big displays we're used to noticing. When a dog feels emotionally full, their body softens around you in a way that doesn't ask for anything. It simply acknowledges a bond that feels safe. You might feel the lightest tap of their shoulder, the soft graze of their tail, or the brief weight of their head before they move on. And each one carries the quiet message that they don't need to cling to feel connected. These touches are gentle because they come from abundance, not scarcity, and your dog trusts that closeness is already secure. And when they wander over just long enough to make contact and then settle somewhere else, it's their way of saying the relationship holds steady, even without constant reassurance. Most people assume these moments don't matter, but they're often the clearest signs of a happy heart. Number 3. Fast recovery from stressful moments. It might sound strange, but a truly happy dog isn't defined by avoiding stress. It's defined by how quickly they find their way back to calm. You'll notice it in those moments when something startles them. Their body tenses for a heartbeat, and then they soften again, as if the world has proven itself safe once more. That gentle reset, sometimes marked by a yawn or a slow blink, shows their nervous system knows how to release fear instead of storing it. And when your dog glances back at you with trust instead of lingering worry, it reveals a deep belief that they're protected, even when life gets loud. These quick recoveries aren't signs of indifference. They're tiny demonstrations of inner security your presence helps create. And honestly, that's the manageable version of the pattern. Number 4. Relaxed relationship with food. There's something surprisingly comforting about realizing that a relaxed eater is often a deeply secure dog. When your dog no longer feels the need to rush through meals, it shows that their world has grown predictable enough for them to savor instead of survive. You might see them pause between bites, wander off mid-meal, or leave a little food behind, not because they're picky, but because their body isn't bracing for loss. And when they sit with you during treat time without grabbing or guarding, it reveals a trust in abundance that can't be taught by commands alone. These small behaviors hint that they believe good things are steady, not scarce, and that you provide a life where nothing needs to be held tightly. And once you notice that kind of ease, you begin to see how it shapes the moments when you're not even in the room. Number 5. Comfort with alone time and secure exploration. Have you ever wondered why some dogs can fall asleep the moment you walk out the door, while others pace like the world just shifted? A dog who can truly rest when they're alone isn't demonstrating distance. They're showing a deep belief that safety isn't tied to constant proximity. You'll see it in the way they stretch out in familiar spots, their breathing slow and even, as if they trust the room to hold them without supervision. And when you take them somewhere new, that same security appears in the gentle rhythm of exploration and returning, as if they're checking in, not out of fear, but out of a desire to share the experience with you. Their curiosity comes forward because worry has stepped aside, letting them absorb the world instead of brace against it. And once you see this kind of quiet confidence, you start noticing how it shapes the smallest movements of their body as they communicate with you. Number 6. Complex communication through tail and expression. It's an uncomfortable truth that most of what your dog tries to tell you never comes through in their voice, but in the subtle choreography of their body. Their tail alone can shift meanings in ways that feel almost personal, rising or softening depending on who they're approaching and what they feel in that moment. You start to notice how a certain wag appears only for you, or how their face relaxes into expressions that seem reserved for the people they trust most. And sometimes their excitement shows up before anything actually happens, their body leaning forward in anticipation, as if they've learned to predict joy from the rhythm of your days together. All these tiny signals weave into a language that doesn't need words because it's built from familiarity, safety, and shared patterns. And once you start reading this quiet communication, you begin to see how flexible and intuitive they become around other beings too. Number 7. Social flexibility and emotional intelligence. It might go against what many people say, but a well-adjusted dog isn't supposed to love everyone equally or act the same with every person. A truly happy dog shifts their energy depending on who they're with, almost like they're tuning themselves to the emotional volume of the room. You'll see them become gentle with a nervous child, playful with a confident dog, or calm beside someone who needs quiet. And none of it feels forced. This ability to read others comes from emotional abundance, the kind that lets them step back when a situation doesn't feel right, without spiraling into fear or rejection. And when they bounce back after being ignored or brushed off, it shows a resilience that comes from knowing their worth isn't measured in constant approval. On its own, it's a small thing, but over time, it reveals just how deeply they trust the world they move through. Number 8. Understanding and predicting daily routines. You can almost see it happen in real time when your dog lifts their head at the exact moment you usually start a familiar part of the day, as if their body remembered before their mind did. It's a quiet reminder that dogs don't just react to life, they track it, storing tiny cues and rhythms that help them feel grounded. You notice it in the way they move ahead of you toward the door you tend to open at certain hours, or how their excitement blooms a few seconds before anything actually changes. It's not about rigid schedules, but about trust, because a dog only leans into routine when their world has proven itself predictable enough to map. And as they begin connecting different sights, sounds, and times of day, their choices start to shift with a kind of gentle confidence, almost like they're reading the room, without needing to look directly at you. And once you see how easily they navigate those patterns, you begin to notice how steady they remain even when your own emotions shift. Number 9. Stable emotional independence around human moods. So why does your dog stay grounded even when your own emotions move in waves? A happy dog doesn't mirror your stress the way many people assume. Instead, they seem to sense the edges of it and choose a calmer place to stand. You'll notice it in the way they come close without absorbing the tension, offering presence instead of panic, as if they understand that comfort isn't about matching your state, but balancing it. And when something in the house feels heavy, they don't crumble under it. They take a breath, adjust, and remain steady enough to remind you that the moment will pass. That kind of emotional independence comes from feeling safe in the relationship, knowing they don't have to sacrifice themselves to stay connected. And once you witness that quiet strength, you start to see how it shapes even the way they move into their daily rituals. Number 10. Rituals, easeful transitions, and varied rest patterns. You can almost picture it, your dog circling their favorite spot with slow intention, settling into a moment that feels chosen rather than habitual. These small rituals aren't signs of rigidity, but expressions of comfort, the way they carve out pieces of the day that simply feel good to inhabit. You start to notice how easily they shift from one activity to the next, without the tension or hesitation that shows up in dogs who are unsure of what comes next. That smoothness is its own kind of trust, a belief that every transition leads somewhere safe, somewhere familiar, somewhere kind. And when they rest in different ways, sometimes curled tightly, sometimes sprawled open, sometimes tucked into corners they rarely use, it's their body telling you it feels free to follow whatever instinct brings the most ease. And once you see how effortlessly they move through these rhythms, you begin to notice the deeper safety that carries them into their sleep. Number 11. Sleep that signals deep safety. There's a quiet kind of truth in the way a dog sleeps when they finally feel like nothing in the world can touch them. You see it when they roll onto their backs, exposing the softest parts of themselves without a second thought, as if their body has decided that vulnerability is no longer a risk. That level of ease doesn't happen by accident. It blooms slowly, shaped by countless moments where their nervous system learned it could finally let go. You might notice how their breathing deepens, their paws twitch in dreams, or their muscles release so fully that they almost melt into the floor. And each moment reveals a dog whose instincts have been gently overwritten by trust. And when they return to that same peaceful sleep night after night, it shows that safety isn't a temporary feeling for them. It's become the backdrop of their entire life with you. And once you understand what that kind of rest really means, it becomes impossible to see it as just sleep ever again. By the time you reach this point, it becomes clear that your dog has been speaking to you in a language made of trust, safety, and tiny everyday gestures. And even if you haven't always known how to read it, your efforts have already mattered more deeply than you realize. What you carry forward now is the sense that their happiness isn't a performance. It's a reflection of the life you've created together. And when you tune into those moments with a calmer heart, something in the relationship settles into a deeper kind of ease. It's often in that stillness that people start to wonder what their dog hopes for in return. Because beyond happiness, there are certain forms of love dogs quietly wish we'd understand. And if you're curious about those lifelong hopes, the next video gently opens that door.